Before we dive into the football talk, Merry Christmas, everyone. Thank you so much for supporting Mark Rogers TV in 2016. We look forward to a big 2017. And again, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. I hope you're enjoying the season with your family and friends. And remember, the reason for the season. All right, on to the Independence Bowl. It's North Carolina State. It's Vanderbilt. It's a matchup of the ACC and the SEC and a couple of 6-6 squads. That's what we get early in the bowl season. But December 26th starts us out in regards to Power 5 teams playing each other in bowl play. So, again, both of these teams had to defeat what we thought were better opponents in the final games of the season to get to eligibility. For North Carolina State, that was 28-21 over North Carolina, a game in which the Wolfpack had dominated early in that game and then hung on for the victory over Mitch Trubisky and company. For Vandy, consider who the Commodores defeated this season, just in name brand. Not in actuality of who was decent this season, because we know Georgia's down. But Vandy winning at Georgia. They defeated Ole Miss. They won over Tennessee to get to 6-6. They played extremely well down the stretch, gave Auburn all kinds of fits on the Plains. For North Carolina State, they don't have any eye-popping wins. The North Carolina win would be at the top of the list, but consider playing well against really good teams. And it's hard to imagine, but the team from the ACC probably played the better teams at the cream of the crop portion of the schedule, meaning that for North Carolina State, of course, they missed the field goal or they would have won at Clemson. They lost to Florida State just 24-20. And, well, the Louisville game was the one clunker on the schedule. 54-13, the Cardinals disposed of them. And, again, the big win over North Carolina. All right, when you talk these two teams, you talk defense. They were not much in terms of offensive explosion, both in the lower third to 20% in FBS and offensive production. Vanderbilt 109th and North Carolina State 88th. For the Wolfpack, you would consider them to have the bigger playmakers and Jalen Samuels and company. Matt Days is a fine running back, their first 1,000-yard back in Raleigh-Durham since 2002. He ran for 1,119 yards, 10 touchdowns, 32 pass receptions. Matt Days, a tremendous final season with the Wolfpack. Ryan Finley at quarterback, a key to this game. So when he does not throw an interception, when he keeps it away from the opposing defense, the Wolfpack is 6-1. They lose all the games when he throws interceptions. Now, fortunately for North Carolina State, Vanderbilt is not a ball-hawking secondary, a very tough secondary that supports the run, but they only intercepted 5 passes this season, so that should be a stat in favor of NC State. Ryan Finley on the season, 60% passer, 15 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions, but he gave it away late in the season, but we'll see if Vandy is able to take advantage of that. So North Carolina State offensively, difficult to score in the red zone, so they were not one of the better teams once they got close to the opponent's end zone. Vandy, on the other hand, one of the best 5 in the nation in holding teams out of the end zone once they reach the 20-yard line. So check one off for Vandy. Also, when we look at Vanderbilt's offense, we usually don't see much of anything but a ground game, try to keep the ball, try to possess it, try to limit the turnovers, keep it close to the vest, throw the ball 15 to 18 times, and let's get home with a 13-9 win. Not so much down the stretch. Kyle Shermer is now a sophomore who's turning 20 years old, and he has now 17 starts at Vandy, and his last 4 were his 4 best by far. He had his 4 biggest passing days the last 4 games of the season for Vandy. 221 yards against Auburn, 252 against Mizzou, 273 yards passing against Ole Miss, and then he busted the Vols defense for 416 yards in the 45-34 upset. I like the trend we're seeing from Kyle Shermer late in the season with the 4 big games down the stretch against quality opponents aside from maybe Mizzou. And Ralph Webb at running back, 1,100-plus yards. Kari Blasingame supports him with 9 touchdowns once they get it in close. Vanderbilt's offense kind of coming to life. Zach Cunningham on defense for the Vandy Commodores might be the best player in the SEC. Consider playing in not much of a spotlight there in Nashville. He had 119 stops and he is just phenomenal. Check out the game tape against Auburn. We saw that game gun to gun, and Zach Cunningham was amazing as Vandy almost pulled off the upset despite Kyle Shermer basically threw a pick when they had driven the ball down inside the Auburn 20-yard line. NC State, they also boast a strong defensive front, possibly the best in the ACC, considering Clemson, considering Florida State, and Louisville. That's a big statement. Bradley Chubb had 20 tackles for loss and 9 sacks. They've got Darian Roseborough on the other side with 10 tackles for loss and 7 sacks. B.J. Hill, and the combination of Hill and Justin Jones at the defensive tackle position, one of the best in the ACC as well. North Carolina State gives up just 3.2 yards per carry. This should be a defensive game. I love what North Carolina State did against North Carolina, but it's one game. I really like what Vandy did down the stretch against the likes of Ole Miss and against Tennessee, and earlier almost pulling off a game at Auburn. I consider the competition. I consider the trend of Vandy passing the ball well late in the season, and I really believe that the SEC pulls this one out. This one's a tough one to call. It's going to be close. Take Vandy plus the 5.5 points, and Vandy wins it straight up 20-19 over NC State at the Independence Bowl. We would like to hear from you now right here on Mark Rogers TV.